Hi, and welcome to another Designer Boardroom. JoAnne Lenart-Weary and I'm Sandra Race. We have been your host off and on, and we bring in speakers and we try and bring in the experts to share just tips and things that can make your life easier, your business runs more smoothly. And tonight is exactly one of those hot topics, Canva for beginners. And even if you're a little bit familiar with Canva or you think you know everything, you're going to benefit from tonight. It has really changed all of how our digital print, whether it's print or our Instagrams or whatever it might be. And it's just changed the way we look. So we're super excited. JoAnne is going to walk us through, give us some great tips, and also at the very end, give you some instructions about how to get an awesome download. So, JoAnne, you take it away.
Ta-da! Here I am. Hey, everybody. We are going to talk about Canva. And I know for many of you, you may be like Sandra and I. Sandra and I are always early adopters. We're jumping on the wagon and trying. If we hear something new's coming out, we're playing with it. So before we get started, what I would like for you, and please use the Q&A section, not the chat section. How many of you already use Canva often? So if you'll just
Raise your
go
hand
to Q&A
or raise your hand.
or raise your hand. Yes, there you go, Sandra. Okay,
Okay,
not as
good.
many as I anticipated. All right, how many of you have tried to use Canva and were intimidated? Raise your hand. Well, those hands went up fast.
Yeah. Okay, you are in the right place.
Yes. Okay, how many of you say, Canva, piece of cake, use it all the time? Oh, good. So we got ourselves a few of you that are comfortable with Canva. And well, hi, Lori. It's so nice to see faces and names of people that we have all been hanging with one another for a lot of years. And I love seeing all the new names as well. So what we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to be a little bit more about beginners, but I want you to understand the realm of what you can do with Canva. If all you're using it for is to create some posts with it, then you are cutting it short. And Canva just had a huge makeover that we're not even going to be delving into tonight, but all the new bells and whistles that they offered annually, they will always do kind of a major breakthrough. And they're starting to get a little bit of competition now. So it's lighting even more fire underneath them. I welcome your questions through the whole program. Put your questions in the Q&A section, and then every once in a while, I'll just go there to check and see if you're on it. Sandra's recording this. You'll get the recording. This is based off of something I did in our community that was a very hands-on 2-hour class where we actually did each step and everyone built a couple of projects in our time, and we're going to offer you that option. So watch for the follow-up with the recording. If you want to do a deep dive and do it with me on the screen, then let us know. That's going to be, what do we say it was, 25 or
$25.
$25. So the link will be in there, but that'll be a 2-hour set. Tell everyone to leave you alone, and it will be very hands-on and immersive. But tonight we're going to give you an overview, and I hope you all walk away with some new pointers as we are going through here this evening. So let's move on. For the most part, and I could look at all the names, but for the most part, I think many of you here know who I am. I'm old, I'm tired, I'm still hanging in there. I started so many years ago with the love of design, just like many of you. I'm a self-taught designer. I started a business when I had no business starting a business. When I think back at some of the things that I experienced, um, it's amazing. But here I still am, 45 years almost later, still at it. But what I learned, and something you've heard over the years from Sandra and Carol and myself, it takes more than talent to grow business. And when I first started training back in 99, I wanted to teach my students how to work with a client and how to make a room look beautiful. And I quickly realized that there were so many more components and things we needed to know as primarily solopreneurs, to grow our business. It didn't matter how good you were if you didn't know how to market yourself effectively, if you didn't know how to communicate with the client, if you didn't know how to keep your face in front of people. And that is where tools like Canva are going to help you. So for those of you that don't know, Canva very simply is a graphic design platform. It was something that came out for those of us that found programs like Adobe very difficult and very cumbersome. And I can remember spending hours and hours and hours trying to do cut and paste and all of those things. And let's be honest, when you're own your own business and wearing all of the hats, you can't afford to have a graphic designer on the regular. Now, there are definitely things in my life that I could not do without a graphic designer, and I am not taken away from a single one of them. But for just the day-to-day of operations, I needed to be able to make things look better. So when Canva came out, I mean, I was signed up quicker than quick can be. I'm sure that I had to have been in the first however many there was, because first of all, I have such a curiosity about anything that's new. It truly is amazing that I've only had two husbands in my 73 years, because I'm always curious about things. But I just dove into it, and I have a dear friend who I had turned on to Canva many years ago. She is making a great deal of money on the regular by creating things for Canva. So not only is Canva a graphic design platform with the ability to create a lot of things, it's also a great way to make money if you're an amateur photographer, if you're a designer yourself, if you're a template creator. There are lots of options that you can do. Now, here on this screen, what you're going to see is a lot of things that I have created. Locally in our town, there's probably no one that doesn't know my name, because I am Susie Volunteer. I guess I should be Vicky Volunteer for alliteration. I am a very strong member of We Can Waterford, which is a nonprofit organization just for the betterment of our community. And I'm also very active in our historical society. And I become active in other groups when people say, hey, we need some IT stuff. And so the things I've learned over the years, not only to help myself, have also helped me to help various nonprofits. So these are examples of, I do a community calendar in our area. I use Canva for that. This one right here today, this crocheting workshop, I just created it today for a class at our Connect and Create building. So these are all the kind of things that one would expect. This was a flyer for us. I have used Canva to make 3D book covers. I have also used Canva to create videos. Now, are you seeing that as a video, Sandra?
Yes, really cool.
So this was a very simple picture, and I added a video component to it, and was able to use it in on a website, and also in a social media post. And then let me, if I may, I want to show you this one. because I just want you to understand the range of things that one can create. Okay, bear with me here. I got this, kids. Hang in there. All right, bear with me.
I think too, JoAnne, while you're doing that, even if we're volunteering and in a pay it forward marketing mindset, we really want to look professional, everything we're touching.
Mm-hmm.
And so that does afford you that if, when you start to do some extra marketing within the community.
Okay, and then this is a magazine that I created in Canva,
Okay.
that I do.
Okay, we're not seeing that one yet.
You're not seeing that, excuse me.
Maybe share your desktop.
Okay, are you seeing that now?
Yeah.
So this is a quarterly magazine that I have created also in Canva. And so now this magazine, once I created it, I could do it as a video flip magazine, as you're seeing it here. I could do it as a PDF to download and use as a newsletter. What I want you to see with what I'm showing you here is the amount of things that you can do with Canva are amazing and definitely not limited. Okay, now bear with me while I get back to my original slideshow here. I had too many windows open. Okay, talk amongst yourselves.
No, it's true because JoAnne introduced me to Canva years ago. I think Canva's probably been around, what do you think, 5 years now?
Yeah, I'd say a good 5. Yeah.
Yeah. 5 years. And what I love is they are always making things more intuitive for us. So if you're just new to Canva, yeah, there's a learning curve, but that's why this PowerPoint tonight and this webinar is so helpful, is that it'll kind of cut some of that time off for you.
Okay, are you seeing my screen again then,
Yes.
Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing that that you are going to need is register for a free account at Canva. And that is an amazing thing. You can do all of these things that I have shown you on Canva for no money. Now there are limitations, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But if you would, again, raise your hand, how many of you actually, excuse me, have a Canva account already?
Very few. Okay, yeah.
Very few of you. Yes. So walk, don't run, kids. Go to canva.com, canva.com, and I want you to sign up for a free account. Now, when you do, it is going to ask you if you want to try a paid account for a month. Say yes. Take that month and check out the free, because this is the difference between a free account and a paid account, is the access to things. So as you look at these templates online, so here's an idea of Canva. Let's say I wanted to do a presentation. You are going to be speaking to the junior league group and you want to do a presentation. And incidentally, the PowerPoint that you're watching right now was all created on Canva. So I go into Canva and I type in design. I want interior design free presentation. So it brings me up all of these different templates. And that just jump starts my my program design. Now, if you notice, some of those have crowns on them. The ones with crowns have to be purchased. Now, you can have a free account and purchase them. You put so much money in your account and you'll get charged a certain amount, whether or not it's a picture or a video or a presentation, but you'll get charged somewhere in the range of $1 to $3 to use a paid element. Notice these that do not have any crown on them, those are completely free. So you can use them in your account. On this side, we're looking at what is called elements. So elements are all of the graphics and photos that you will use within your presentation. Notice same thing. If they don't have a crown on them, then they're free. If they do have the crown, then you're going to say, yes, I will purchase that. And they'll pull $1 out of your little bank that you have. So when I first began with free, I typically would keep like $50 in my bank. Well, what I found was I was using Canva on the daily. So soon it made no sense to me to not buy the paid version. And this gives you an idea of how much it is. So for one person, it's $120 for the year. It is the best $10 a month you can possibly spend. But as I said, start out with the free if you don't think that you'll be using it that much. But I promise, once you start using it, if you're not paying much attention to your social media now, you know you should be, but you just haven't got there. Canva's going to make all of that stuff easier. It's going to make your marketing easier. It's going to make your contracts better. Every component of your business that involves something digital, Canva is going to help you. So before we move on to the next part, I just want to see if anybody has any questions so far.
And
Nope,
JoAnne,
looks like we're good.
you know what? I got a private question. If you were experimenting and you're putting together, let's say it's your presentation or it's a flyer or whatever it might be, you can pop something over that has a crown on it, but just see what it looks like, because you don't have to just pay for it the minute you put it in what you're producing,
Right.
unless you said, yes, I'm going
No.
to download this or, copy it or that kind of thing. So hope that
Right.
helps.
That is such a good point, Sandra. Yeah, that's such a good point. You can experiment with it and it'll have a crosshatch on it. So that if you did try to print it, it would come up like that. But yes, at the beginning, you can pop in anyone, and it's when you're ready to download, then it'll say you have paid images in here. Do you want to use them? And then you have the option to say yes and no. But again, for $10 a month,
Yeah, it's
$120 a year, this tool is invaluable. The other thing that is amazing is, let's say, like for Sandra and I, we share stuff with one another all the time. I help Sandra and Steph with their social media and a variety of things that we do together. I can create something and I can send it over to Sandra to be edited, or so we can look at it together. And then she can make changes that she sees, or comments. It allows us to work together, even though geographically we're separated by a great distance. This allows us to be able to work very cohesively and very efficiently.
And I'll throw out too, in working on the website we were talking about before we went live, it was so helpful that I just made a folder and put hero images for a new website and shared it with the graphic designer. And I like 1, 3, 5, and 9, so and we weren't paying for it until we downloaded it, but it helped us kind of see some of our options without back and forth and, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is very helpful. I do website design. I mean, it is amazing for me, who began as a designer and a stager, back in the late 70s and early 80s, how my business has really grown, because I found that my peers these are the things that they really get intimidated by. They can decorate till the cows come home, but to have a website that tells a story without paying, $3,000 to get there. And so I learned to do all of this stuff so that I could better help my students. So when I am working with someone on a website, Canva is a great tool because they can load templates in there, because you are not only limited to the images in Canva, you can upload all of your own. I will often use Midjourney to create an AI image so that we can have a one of a kind. I can upload that into Canva and use it. And I can do that with a free account. I have pictures from a client's job, or my student has pictures from a client's job. She can upload that here, and then I can access. In a way, it can serve as effective as Dropbox in many ways. Now, when I taught this in a longer version, we started out with my class, everyone had a blank presentation. And so everything that you and I will be talking about this evening in the hands-on class, we actually do that. But because time is brief, I'm going to give you an overview. And if you want the hands-on, as I said, that class is only $25. So if you are on Canva, once you sign in, everything is going to begin right here in your Canva dashboard. This is your main control center, and you will see this on your screen. You'll have this dashboard on the left that will drive you. So we're going to talk about what each of those things are. So in this left sidebar in design are going to be all of your uploads. So if you don't want to start from scratch and you want to create a presentation for a group you're speaking at on dog breeding, you can go into design and put dog breeding, and it will come up with some pre-made templates that you can use a design. Now, you're not going to use, they are not templates that are done in a way that they're ready to present, but they're templates that have a composition and maybe some questions that might prompt you to think. So it gives you a starting point. Elements are, as I said, those are all your photos, your graphics. If I want to put a chair in a picture, I would go into elements and I would type chair. And when I do, it is going to give me a graphic version, or what we at one time called clip art kind of look. It will give me a photo version, and it will give me a video version. And so then I can make my choice of what I want to do to insert into my design. So elements go into a design. Design is the holder of it. And then elements are all the pieces inside. So think of design is chicken soup. Elements is the celery and the carrots and the salt and the pepper and that. The next thing too in elements is something called frames. So if you type in frame, it will give you some pictures of some frames, but it also will give you boxes in a variety of shape that will be where you can drop pictures and they will stay in place. So you can say, I want a round frame, and then when you drop your picture in, it'll go right into that frame and it'll immediately size it and make it the way that you want it to be.
I mean, how many hours have we spent trying to line it up just perfect?
Oh my
Got to
God,
crop a little
yes.
bit more. Yeah.
Right, right. Um, Also, the button that I probably use the most is called undo, and it's at the top, and it's just a little round arrow, and it's like, oh, undo, undo. It automatically saves as you go. That is the other thing I love. I am a horrible saver. I will get on a spin. Sandra, how many times have we been there that I'm like, oh my God, I just lost 2 hours worth of work. Canva says, hey, stupid, I know you hate to hit save, so I'm going to do it for you. I love that about Canva. It's my friend. It is my friend. We're going to talk about brand here in a minute. Text, you will have more text styles than one would even think of. And not only within text, not only can you choose the font style, you can choose how wide you want to make it, how far apart you want the lines. You have a great deal of control. And again, in the hands-on class, we would actually be doing that so you can understand how that works. And then projects are going to be, once you've created something, it will be in projects and you can sort that. So for me, Vicky Volunteer, I can go into projects and I can find everything I did for the Historical Society, everything I've done with Sandra, everything I've done with the We Can group, everything I've done for the local Kiwanis group. I go into my projects and I can keep everything sorted in there. And Lord knows I got a bunch of them. There are also within Canva a myriad of apps. So for example, I had showed you guys the Flip magazine. That was using an app that had a flip capability. If I created that magazine as a presentation, and then I added the Flip magazine app to it, which then allowed it to flip like a magazine. So every time you think you have Canva figured out, they throw something new at you. So if you love to be creative and experiment, you're never going to be tired. However, for those of you that say, oh my God, please don't give me a lot, that's the beauty of it too. You, as long as you know elements, design, text, and uploads, you got the world by a string. Is that the phrase? You got the world by the, I don't know what the phrase is, but you got something anyways.
I'll throw out too, and you may cover this in a minute, JoAnne, but when you do start playing and trying out different, templates, I really suggest, because I was not very good at this, and the next thing you know, I'm so overwhelmed, is make a folder. Even if it's your Instagram post or whatever it might be, because I'm flipping through going, oh my God, where the heck was that? I know I did that, because it would have been so much smarter if I put it in the right folder, and that would have saved me some time.
Yes, and that's important to use those folders and those projects. Now, I want to go here in just a minute because Lori loves this font here, and she said, "What is your font?" And Lori, this is Brightwall. Brightwall is this font. And again, for those of you that are kind of wondering, I just want to show you how easy, because there are so many fonts in here, but all I have to do is click on them and you can see how that will change. And then it'll say to me, hey, do you want to change everything that is Brightwall? Or I can type in here fonts and say, hey, I want a cursive font in here. So there's just so many opportunities.
And if you already have your branded script, because we have 3 fonts that we're working with, but if you
Mhm.
already have a branded one, you can easily upload it. And Lori, if
Right.
you like Brightwall, you might want to look at Just Lovely.
Yes. Yes. So speaking of that, as Sandra said, one of the things that I encourage you to do is create a brand kit. So what that means is, like for me, because I do work for so many people, each of them will have their own brand kit. So if I'm creating something for the Historical Society, I go in and I click Historical Society's brand kit. And then I know that their key colors, their logo, their font choices are all going to be used on everything that I'm presenting. If I want to do, JoAnne Lenart-Weary, here's my logo here, created on Canva. Then I can go into my brand kit and I can automatically know what the fonts are, what the core colors are. So I would encourage you to go in and set up your brand kit, and it's very easy. You click it and it says, hey, what fonts do you like? And you type them in, and it will allow you to experiment. You also can go in and use design again and say, I have no idea what I want my brand kit. Give me some ideas. And it will show you a number of pre-made brand kits that you can use as a starting point or use exactly as they are. Okay, I see we have another. Oh, bright. Well, okay. You're welcome, Lori. My pleasure. Okay, so let's move on here. Sandra, you were going to go, but you're just so fascinated.
Hanging on your every word. No, it's all working out good so far. I will stay till I can't.
So here again, we talked a little bit about design and templates. Here's an example of I had put in that I wanted to create a spring flyer. So when I put in spring flyer, excuse me, here were all, and these aren't even close to all, but here are a number of flyer designs that it came up with. I could click on any one of them. I click on one and it comes up here and it says, use this template. Well, yeah, I'm going to use that template. Once I am in that template, I can be pure and use it exactly how it looks, or I can change the colors, I can change the font, I can get in there and decide I really don't like that one and go and get a completely different font or template. But templates will allow you to get going quickly. This is also a place where you can go down the rabbit hole because it's like, well, if the first 1,000 were pretty, how are the second 1,000? Let's look at them. So understand that there comes a point where you have to say, all right, I'm moving on. The other thing that I have done is I have templates that I have saved because it's like, I like this. Now, I mentioned to you earlier, my friend who makes a nice penny off of Canva on the monthly. This is one of the ways that people make money on Canva. They go in and they pre-design templates. And so now if you look here, we can see right here, the artist that created this template, and I can follow her and see what else she does. But every time I use this template, she makes some money on that template. Here again, this was my original template. And this is what I made using that template. So you can see I changed out the colors. I made some changes, but it was like, oh, I kind of like these side pictures. I like the big picture on top. So I use this template as my inspiration. So talking a little more about elements, as I mentioned to you, some of the things that you can get there are graphics, or what we once called clip art. We can do a mock-up in Elements. You can say, I want a mock-up of a coffee table that has been decorated. You can do videos. And you notice this is very subtle, but that was, I put in spring flowers, and that was a video that it came. Also can do photos. And then this is an example of what I told you about of the frames, where I would just drop my pictures in, and they'll automatically be sized to that box, which allows you, like Sandra mentioned, to keep all of your sizing right and your spacing good. Whoops, oops, oops, oops. Now, I also can go in and not use a template and just create a blank background. And then I can use all of those things in any design that I want. But also, once I am in there, I can make them transparent. I can load things on them. And really, it is a matter of click and drop. I want this. I click it and it drops into my program, and I'm just going, or into my project, and then I'm just going to adjust it. And let's say I'm looking at, for example, this picture here. And I say, okay, I like this picture, but I don't like the colors. Well, I can go into editing, and using the editing tool, I can change out the colors that are on this picture as well. I can change out the colors of the graphics. There are so many things right at your fingertips to do. This is one of the tools I love the most. So here's my picture. And I didn't want that white background. So all I do is go to editing and hit background remover. And this is what I end up with. Now I can cut this apart. I can snip it. I can do all kinds of things. I can change out colors in here. I could drop in, let's say I don't want this to be pencils. I could drop in a floral arrangement there. So these flat lays typically have great components, but it is, all that very linear background that sometimes makes them feel limiting.
This to me was the game changer because you didn't have to go spend a lot of money on Adobe or Photoshop. It was just like, okay, it really was a click. And then if you didn't like the way it looked, you could just put it, that delete JoAnne was talking about. So I love this feature.
The other thing that is wonderful now, for example, if Sandra and I are doing, let's say we're selling a product online. So we're going to go to Instagram, and it has to be a certain size, and then it has to be another size for Facebook, and then it has to be another size for your Zephy or whatever payment process you're using. The beauty of Canva is I can go in and I can create something, and then all I do is hit resize. So I started out with this, and then I said resize, and it said, what size do you want it to be? And it'll have a whole drop down list. It's a Facebook banner, it's an Instagram post, it's a presentation 69, it's a whatever it may be. Or you could do a custom size and drop in your own metric measurements or pixels or inches or whatever you want it to be. So by doing that, now it simply pops up and my design is all intact. You might have to adjust a little bit. Maybe you change the size of the font or whatever, but you're not starting from scratch all over again. Sandra?
Okay, I am going to head out. Thank you guys.
Okay, all right. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
The other thing that is wonderful with your business, and I want you to be thinking, and I'm talking as if you're a business people, and it's very possible some of you that are here are not business driven, but I want you to always be thinking of, how do I get my face in front of my clients? Because that is the key. The fact that you can create beautiful rooms is wonderful, but most importantly, They want to work with you. You know, when I mentioned earlier, when I saw Lori's name in here, Lori, we're probably talking 15 or 20 years ago, I believe, that we met originally. And here Lori still is because she trusts what the DSA brings to the table or what Sandra and I have to say. Those are relationships that you need to be building with your clients as well. People do business with people. And I've been very, very blessed over the years to meet and make some of the loveliest friends in the world. So think of things that you can do. Now, this is a template for a community calendar. I live in a very small town. We do not have a community newspaper. And what you would hear all the time was, oh, I didn't know that was happening. So a few years ago, I said, we need a community calendar. And I found someone to underwrite the cost of it. And we print it each month, and it goes. I have boxes up all over our town that people just lift up the box and pull out a calendar. And so now we also use it to, we've monetized it some, and we have some fundraisers. But again, Canva was the tool that I used to create the calendar. When you begin with Canva, when you come in, this is the screen that you will see. What will you design today? And you're going to go in and type in, today I want to do a presentation. Today I want to do a Instagram post. I want to do my posts for the entire month. And if you're smart, you also have incorporated AI into what you're doing, whether it is the Canva AI, Chat GPT, and or one of the many myriad of AI tools that are out there. And we're going to talk more about AI in a few moments. But once you go in and say, I want to create, in this case, you can see I had put in folder. I wanted to create a folder. And so I type in folder, and it immediately starts bringing me up some different styles or templates that I can start my project with. So I don't have to overthink it. It's like within minutes, you are creating the digital designs that you want to create. Okay, so tell me so far as you have been listening, is this still seeming overwhelming? Show of hands, does it seem overwhelming? Okay, well, that's a good thing. Truly, you're going to log in at Canva after you set up your account. You're going to put in the search bar the type of things that you want to do. You're going to choose a template or start from a blank. You're going to add or edit your text. And remember, if you've created your brand kit, you don't even have to think, what was my font again? Oh yeah, I use Brightwall. That will already be in your brand kit. You're going to insert your photos and your elements. You're going to adjust your layout and spacing, and then you download it. Once you've completed your design, you will simply download it to your own computer. And I think this is important. Remember, you cannot break it. It is impossible to break it. So once you download it, then you can use it in a variety of ways. When you download it, it will say, do you want to download this as a PDF, as a video, as a JPEG, as a PNG? Tell me what you want to do with this. And so then it will go right into your computer in your download file. You can also keep the same video and download it in a variety of ways. For example, the magazine that I showed you earlier, I saved the magazine as a video because it flipped. I also saved it as a PDF, and then I printed it and used some as physical handouts to some of my clients and to places that I was speaking. Because one of the most important things is if you actually have the opportunity to speak in front of a group, is you want them to remember you when they are gone. So you always want to think about, what can I design bigger than a business card that someone will remember me a month from now when they say it's time to start my living room or my bedroom. Who was that woman that I heard speak at Junior League or at my group at church? You always want to be thinking of those kind of things. And again, Canva makes it so easy. Let's say you create that calendar that I talked about. Maybe you do a community calendar and it is sponsored by your business. You can design it in our calendar. One side of the page lists all the nonprofits. So what are the Kiwanis doing this month? And what is the Lions Club? And what is the Historical Society? And so on. The opposite side of the calendar is where we have started monetizing it. So I've reached out to local businesses and said, do you have a special event or sale that we can advertise? But then it can be sponsored by your business. You can have printing done locally. Canva also will do your printing for you. Let's say you design a business card, you can have them download your business cards. Okay, I see we have a couple of questions. I'm going to go to Layla. How do I see the recordings you do every month? And will we receive an email for Canva class so I can pay for it? I need that class. Well, good, Layla. I'm glad that you do. Yes, you will receive an email from Sandra in the next few days. And the recording will be in that. They also are placed on YouTube. And as Sandra said, there's a brand new website that will also give you access. Each month, the last Tuesday of every month, we do the Design Boardroom with different topics and different speakers. Sandra and I tend to speak the most, but we've both been in this industry for a long time, so we have a lot of, I hope, great information to share. Susan says, once you use your photos and ideas in Canva, does it become their property and can be shared and used by others? Absolutely not, Susan. This is yours. These are proprietary. Whatever you design, only you have access to that. I shouldn't say that. I'm sure Canva has access to it, but they cannot resell or use any of your items unless you are in their creators program. And that means that you chose to share your templates, your designs, and your photographs with others. And I'm just going to see if there's anything else. Okay, anybody need any clarification on their question? Are we good so far? All right, well, let us continue because I see I already am running over a bit. And for those of you that know me, you know that's not at all unusual. So here's a few bonus tips for you when you are designing. Use templates as a shortcut. I don't care how graphically designed you are. Somebody else has already done it better. Make it easy on yourself. Pick a template and get going. Stick with 2 to 3 fonts per design. Don't try to make it all fussy. It's just like decorating a room. You need negative space and you need to make it easy for your eyes to follow everything that you want them to witness. Canva also has built-in color palettes. If you are unsure what colors you want to use, check out Canva's color palettes and it will give you a beautiful array of colors that you can use for your project. Group elements together to move or resize them. And what do I mean by that? For example, I could have put this all of this bullets points in as separate text lines so that each of them could have been moved individually. But simply by drawing a line around them, I grouped them. So now they move as a unit. I can resize them all at the same time. Or maybe you've done a grouping of pictures. For example, I had someone last night send me a picture of a shelf, and she wanted to know what would it look like decorated. So using Canva, I added a vase to the shelf, and I added books, and I placed a piece of art behind it so that she could visualize it. And I drew a line around them so they were grouped, so that everything stayed cohesive when I sent it to her. Use position to center and align items quickly. And what I mean by that is each design has layers. So something is the background, and then there's the next layer and the next layer until we get to the front. So using position will help you to put things in the right place. Right here, do you see how this line, bonus tips and tricks, is cut off? Well, that's because there is a bar here that is covering those letters. And if I were to click, in fact, let me do that for you. Let's see. No, it's not going to let me do it right now. But if I were to click that and then hit position, I could say move to front, and then all of those would show. Also, duplicate your work. If you've been working on something and you say, I really think I want a different design, keep what you've done and just simply hit duplicate, and it'll drop in all the slides again, and then you can make your changes easily to that. And also zoom out occasionally. So for example, if you're working on something like this, it's like, what is it starting to look like as a whole? So make sure that you do that so that you can see it as a whole. Again, just like seeing a room. It's like, yep, that lamp table looks beautiful. But what does that lamp table look like next to the stove, or next to the sofa, next to the chair, and below the picture that's hanging above it? So we always need to big picture things. I'm going to let you take a picture of this screen if you would like, because here's some free resources for you. And I'm going to just see if there's any other questions here. So use your phone to take that. And I'm going to move forward. I think I gave you enough time there. Okay, as I said, we are going to do this in a plumped up version that will be interactive. In other words, when you're on your screen, we will go to that place at the same time. You will actually be designing as we speak. The class will be $25. Watch your email for the link. I didn't have time to drop the link in here before we began this evening. I just happened to mention to Sandra that when I taught this originally, it was an interactive class. Know that the class will be a good 90 minutes long, and it also will be recorded so that you can refer back to it. Okay, that was it, kids. So any final questions? And as I said, for those of you that do not know me, I have been in the design industry for over 40 years. I started the Decorating and Staging Academy back in 1999, and Sandra purchased it for me about 20 years ago when my life just got hectic, and it was like, I don't like being a boss anymore. I just want to do what I want to do, which is teach classes and make houses beautiful. So Sandra and I have a wonderful relationship because I get to do exactly what I want to do. And hope to give you all that join us confidence and encouragement and whatever you needed. Lori, it was just as nice to hang out with you tonight as well. Love seeing the oldies and goodies still hanging in out there. So any final questions from anybody? Anything about anything? Doesn't have to be about Canva. Anything design related? Um, if you need makeup or hair tips, I think it's obvious. Don't ask me about that because you know, I just am anymore. I don't try as hard as I once did, but any other questions I can help you with, please feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Sandra. And I am happy to help. If you need any help with your social media, if you just need someone to review it, I am going to put my email on this also for you because I did not do that. In case someone needs to contact me individually. And there is my email in case anybody needs it. And that being said, I think we are done for the evening. Thank you. I know I ran a little longer than usual, but I hope you all are walking away with some good tips. And I'm just going to make this a little bigger here in case anybody needs. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you at the next Design Boardroom, the last Tuesday of every month. Oh, one question for those of you that are still here that I forgot. How many of you are interested in a class on AI? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, keep watching then. We will be doing that. Angelina, can I show the preview picture? Tell me what you mean by the preview picture, and I will be happy to show it. Do you mean at the beginning of the presentation? I'm not sure. Okay, Angelina, if I'm not sure what picture you want to see, but oh, the free tips. I'm sorry. Yes, here. Give me 1 second and I will show it to you. I'm just looking at all the names. So many nice names here. I love seeing each and every one of you this evening. And thank you for still listening to this old lady ramble on. And let me get to this screen for you. I believe this is the one that you mean. Oops. Oh, oh, I frighten myself at times. Okay, there you go. And okay, there you go, Angelina. Take a photo and then I'm going to sign us off for the evening. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I will hope to hear from you soon. And as I said, please do not hesitate to reach out directly to myself or Sandra if you have any questions or concerns. Have a nice evening, everybody. Bye-bye.